Welcome to episode 29 of the Eye of Terror podcast. I'm George.
And I'm Alec.
And we play 40K. Well, thanks again for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Hello.
Hi.
Otherwise, you're listening to the podcast stream, so thank you for being a loyal listener. We really should sort of thank a lot of the listeners who, for whatever reason, seem to listen to multiple times the same episode.
Thank you for enjoying the sounds of our voices.
Thank you for artificially increasing our numbers.
Or our opinions, or both. Yes. Thank you. That it helps with the insecurity. Thank you, people.
Absolutely. Also, thank you for the kind messages you're leaving on Facebook, and then there's a couple of messages on the new YouTube channel. So thank you there. It definitely encourages us to keep doing what we're doing. Okay, let's start with some hobby progress.
Indeed.
All right. Got a long ways into finishing the Sisters of Silence.
Yes, you were motivated, I think, after you saw the... you enjoyed the models. Actually, you weren't sure about it first.
I wasn't sure, and then I think once I started looking at the models closely, and I saw the rules.
Yep. I
got more excited.
Yep.
So I managed to secure some off of eBay.
Indeed.
And they came in and immediately built them and put them together. The paint scheme is going to be silver with like a bluish glow.
Yep.
All the little links in the armor, all the little recesses are all like made with a blue glaze, and so it gives it looks as if they're kind of a pulsing in power. Somebody on Reddit called it true silver.
True silver.
Like wearing true silver armor.
True silver.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
But they look good. I'm really happy with the way they're turning out. I've used the GW sort of detailed bases, so those are going to be dark and rusted to contrast with the silver armor of the sisters. So I think they're going to look great. So I'm excited about that.
I've seen them. They look pretty cool.
I posted one photo, and I got a note from GW saying, "Hey, can we put this on our GW site?" So that's exciting. That's the third time they've tagged one of my pictures on Instagram.
It's pretty neat.
It's nice. It's nice to get noticed. I'm a very mediocre painter, but I guess they want all kinds of painting quality on their blog.
Apparently.
Yeah. So that's coming along great. My next project is probably going to be the Leviathan.
The Leviathan, huh?
The Leviathan Dreadnought. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Though you still have like things that are unpainted.
Yeah, if I'm gonna always have things that are unpainted,
like the Corvus Black Star is still
unpainted. Yeah. So that's built, and it's got Alera. It's half of it's base coated black.
Yep.
That's as far as I've gotten on it, because Deathwatch is not my priority right now. I really want to finish my LVO list, and that's gonna be Cult Mechanicus with a Knight and the Sisters of Silence.
Which is, of course, why you're working on the Leviathan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just got to finish my Sisters of Silence, and the Leviathan is going to be because it's a beautiful model, and I just want to paint it.
Corvus is also a really cool
model.
It
is. All right. Are you just guilting me into painting the Corvus because you want to use it?
Oh, my. I've already expressed my love for the Corvus on this show before. I don't think I need to go into it again.
Okay. All right. I will probably work on the Corvus here and there. I like to have a bunch of different things that I'm working on at the same time. So anyway, okay, good. Thanks for calling me out. Well, speaking of hobbying, look what we got our hands on. We got our hands on one of these yesterday. For those of you listening, we're holding up to the microphone box of the Thousand Sons Rubric Marines. Very excited. If you're also on our YouTube channel, you probably have seen an unboxing from Alec that we just posted recently.
Yes.
Yeah. So Alec, what do you think now that you've actually look at this? You've built a couple of these.
I built like two. That's about it.
That's all the time we had to do on these today.
Yeah, they.
What do you think?
They're great. They are really wonderful looking models that. Again, they looked good in pictures, then they look even better in person. It's just...
The detail on these
wonderful.
Things is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
They look so great. Night and day from the Space Marines, from the model molds that came 10 years ago.
Seriously.
So awesome. Probably the best looking Space Marines I've seen.
The best looking Space Marines?
Yeah, well, including chaos and regular.
Wait, both from both.
From both.
Wow.
I like the Death Watch models. I think they're beautiful, but in terms of overall detail and style,
Ooh.
I think these Rubric Marines are the best looking Space Marine models I've ever seen. They're amazing looking.
High praise, yeah.
They're also so full of details that they're going to be a huge challenge to paint. These aren't the kind of things you can go through quickly. These are going to be models that you spend a lot of time with.
Yeah, because they're so freaking detailed. I mean,
they're so detailed.
And these are just the foot soldiers.
Yeah. This is the first box.
Yeah, more will come.
Alex getting a whole new Zinch army.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what's
Thousand
happening.
Sons army. So we've got some occult Terminators coming in. We've got the Exalted Sorcerers coming in. We got another box of Rubric Marines coming in, and we have Ahriman. Yeah.
And on his new disc.
On his new flying disc, our new skateboard.
Let's make one of those powerful. Hey, let's make one of those powerful psychers in 40K.
And
let's make him a jet bike.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the options you have in this Rubric Marines box. I think there's a lot of options. All right, you painstakingly cut off every piece of plastic from the sprues.
Indeed.
What's in here?
What is in here, indeed? Well, first of all, we have the usual pauldrons, backpacks, arm leg selections. In terms of special things, we have loincloths. Everyone gets their own loincloth.
It's really important for future war that you have a loincloth.
Indeed, very important. We have most of the special stuffs for the sorcerer, but the stuff that's not are the warp flamers. I don't know what they do yet, so I can't say whether they're worth anything or not because the book's still on its way, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we don't have the weapon profiles yet. We just have the weapons and their costs.
Yep, that's all we have. But so we have the warp flamers, and anyone can upgrade to get a warp flamer. There's no limit to how many warp flamers you can get, but there's 7 points per upgrade. So
there's 5 warp flamers in the box.
No, there's 10 warp flamers in the box alongside 10 bolters.
Okay, wow. So you get 10 AP3
or
bolters,
Inferno bolt guns.
10 of those, and then 10 warp flamers. And then you also get the bits for a sergeant, right? An aspiring sorcerer?
Yeah, the aspiring sorcerer, which he can be upgraded to have, you can pose him to either have like the outstretched hand, a bolt pistol, or the hand warp flamer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
Man, these guys sound expensive.
They are expensive. They haven't been reduced in cost at all, much to my chagrin.
Well, we don't know their profile either, though.
They could be. Maybe they've gotten a significant upgrade in terms of
leadership, attacks.
No, their stats seem to be pretty much identical. Okay. But I don't know what rules they're going to get in terms of the actual book itself, since this is a new army essentially. So
time will tell. All right.
So I don't know. Oh, we didn't mention though.
What?
We did mention the Soul Render or Soul Render. Is that it?
No, Soul Reaper.
Soul Reaper.
Assault cannon.
All these
the Soul Reaper cannon.
Yeah, the Soul Reaper assault cannon for 25 points. Whatever that is.
Sounds expensive. If it's just a strength 6 AP4 or AP dash weapon, it's not worth it.
No, but I'm hoping for something. Like, I'm hoping for maybe if it's just the strength, maybe it's an AP3 assault cannon.
That would be awesome.
That would be horrifying.
That would be horrifying.
Behold.
Oh my god, that would be horrifying.
And and you can upgrade one of them to have an Icon of Flame, which gives all their attacks Soul Blaze. The entire squad attacks Soul Blaze.
Right. So it sounds to me like they're still going to stay an expensive elite form of Space Marines.
Yep.
But they're going to have awesome weapons to bring into the battlefield.
Yeah,
and look great.
I mean they're still pretty hardy. They got like a 4-up invuln save. They're all fearless.
Yeah.
They're no pushovers.
Okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't expect chaotic Zinchian Space Marines to be pushovers after 10,000 years in the warp. Yeah, but they came out with a grand sense of style.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Styling and profiling.
Final word on the Rubric Marines. Definitely worth getting?
Thus far, they seem very much worth getting, at the very least, from a hobbying perspective. At the very least.
Okay.
I have yet to see from a rules perspective.
We'll find out soon. As we're recording this, Trader Legions is going to come out next weekend.
Next weekend?
Next weekend. That's when we'll finally get all the rules. And Wrath of Magnus, which that supplement is coming on its way. So hopefully we'll see it during the week.
Yes.
We'll see.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Okay, we're going to take a little break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about this great game that we just played called The Grizzled. All that when we return. Okay, we're back. All right, so we're going to talk about this game that we just tried called The Grizzled. For those watching on YouTube, we're holding it up.
Yep.
Here we go.
Right now.
It's a fast little game from Cool Mini or Not for 2 to 5 players.
Yep.
Each game lasts, I'd say, under 30 minutes.
Or actually, we played with 2 players, so it might last more if there's
more players.
If there's more players.
It's
It's really short though. It's like.
Yeah, it's a world. The setting is World War I, and you play a platoon of soldiers.
Yep.
And you have to go out and accomplish missions. It really requires cooperation between the players.
Oh yeah, it builds for such a short game that seems really simple. It builds a surprising amount of tension as you try not to all die.
Yeah. Lots of surprising amounts of tension.
Yeah.
The general premise is that you lay out some cards which represent potential threats. They're called the trials cards.
Yep.
And if you reduce the pile of trial cards, the war is over and you've won the game.
Or reduce it to 0, yeah.
But if on the other hand you start piling on more trials because you have failed to accomplish your mission, eventually you run out of trials and you get a monument. You get to the bottom of that pile and then you end up with the monument and you're dead.
Yeah.
That's it. You lost the game. Also, if you get too many traumas, what they call hard knocks,
then the
game is over as well.
Over.
The game is over as well. It starts off with players each having a lucky charm too, so that you can use them to eliminate particular threats.
Yep.
There's an interesting mechanic that you can give a speech.
Yeah.
Which helps to also alleviate threats.
Yeah.
But when you're dealt a hand, the mission leader decides how many, what level of mission it's going to be, anywhere between 1 to 4, and depending on that number is the number of cards you get dealt for that hand.
Yeah.
And then each player takes their turn, and they have a series of actions they can perform. One is to lay down a potential threat. One is to lay down something that might turn into a trauma for one of the players, for yourself. You could also use your lucky charm, or you could give a speech. Those are the general choices. Once you lay out all your threats, and there's you can withdraw, and if both players withdraw, then the mission is successful, and then you go to the next round.
Yep.
Okay.
That's basically
the mechanic sounds a little more complicated than it actually turns out to be.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward, especially in comparison to something like Warhammer.
Yeah, this is a nice little palette cleanser.
It really is. It just is nice, simple. It doesn't really have much. For a war game, it has really nothing to do with violence. Not really. No,
it really is about cooperation, and the kind of threats are sort of symbolically represented as a whistle, a gas mask. Others weather threats like rain and snow and nighttime. Yeah. The artwork, first off, is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
One of the things that I don't think is on the box, but the artwork is apparently from one of the artists that was killed by terrorist attack at the Charlie Hebdo offices.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a contributor to the Charlie Hebdo magazine, but the artwork is fantastic. It's probably a big part of the feel of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really,
and it also has. It looks like the rules are a little weird. They obviously have been translated from a different language.
Oh yeah.
So they can be a little hard to read at times.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like it was translated from French because the soldiers are all French.
Yeah, they're all
French. They all have French names, but you have little tiles. This is a support tile. It has a little coffee cup, really cute.
Yeah.
And then here's your I'm holding it up.
The monument.
If you're listening, you're not seeing this, but holding up the monument. We have a very Pablo Picasso piece of. There you go. Yeah. That's if you get to there, you win the game. Game is really fun, really fast. I have a feeling that with 2 players, it's not too hard to beat. But with more players, it's probably really hard to beat. So we only tried it with 2, but we're looking forward to playing this with more than that sometime soon. I actually like this game a lot. We bought this probably about 6 months ago and haven't played it since. Again, it was just typical for us.
We always this is what we always do with other board games. We buy them either A, we don't play them ever, or B, we play them like once and then we pack them up and put them back.
Right, because we got to play more Warhammer.
There's just no time.
Because a new codex supplement.
It's new code. I gotta try the new units.
Yeah. But we're geeks in general, so we're gonna play other games now and then. As a palate cleanser and as just a quick way of having fun and trying something that isn't as competitive and more cooperative. Really recommend the Grizzled. I think it's a great game. It got nominated for a whole bunch of lists for Best of 2015 when it came out. But I didn't get a chance to play until this year.
Yep.
Go out and get it. I think it's like $20.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. Okay. All right. When we come back, we're going to get into our Armory section where we'll be talking about the Tau's pulse rifles. All that and more when we return. And we're back. Okay. The Tau pulse rifle.
Yes.
That's the topic of this week's Armory section. The Tau is known as a very shooty army.
Indeed it is.
And probably the big reason for that is the pulse rifle, the ubiquitous pulse rifle, which the fire teams, the fire warriors, Tau warriors carry as standard issue. So first, let's talk about a general description of the Tau pulse rifle.
Indeed. It is a formidable main infantry weapon of the Tau, an advanced pulse weapon which utilizes pulsed induction fields to repel lethal microbursts of plasma over astonishing ranges. Or so the Wikia says.
Right.
Standard issue weapon for fire warriors. It apparently has damage output and range that is above anything the Tau have encountered from their enemies. Sometimes Kroot are able to use it. Sometimes they let them have it. It's also most notably used by drones as a twin set.
Okay. The standard stats on the pulse rifle is it's got a 30-inch range.
Yeah.
Strength 5, AP 5 with rapid fire. Already, the fact that it's got a longer range than the bolter makes it dangerous. The fact that it's strength 5 means for Space Marines, you just have to roll a 3 to wound. That's also fantastic. Rapid fire is just the icing on the cake. It is shocking how far 30 inches is on the battlefield, and how big a difference that is when you're in a fight. That extra 6 inches, it really makes a huge difference. And the fact that you've got rapid fire at 15 also is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Right. You combine that with things like supporting fire, like when Overwatch happens.
Yep.
And you have a recipe for destruction. Yeah, the pulse rifle is a fantastic weapon. Probably the second best weapon in the game. Just standard issue weapon in the game.
What would you say was the first best?
The Gauss Flare.
Yeah, I get that.
Because the Gauss Flare has the ability to take down monsters,
creatures.
It can take down anything with when you roll a 6.
Yeah,
this doesn't quite do that, but
it in terms of its standard operation, it is indeed better than the Gauss Flare in respects of the stat line.
Yep.
It really is one of the most dangerous weapons for a infantry unit to be holding.
Right.
It's essentially tiny pieces of plasma that are being propelled at like hyper fast speeds, rather than these like big dangerous explosive bursts that are used by the Imperium. They have mastered the art of using safe plasma for slightly less crazy and explosive results.
The fact that a whole strike team of Fire Warriors, a 5-man unit, comes in at 45 points, which is 9 points a model, equipped with pulse rifles, is pretty amazing. So again, it's really cheap for what it can do. I think it's great. There's also ways to sort of add what do you call it? Multipliers.
Yeah.
One is to equip the Fire Warrior team with a Cadre Fireblade. He's an HQ unit that costs 60 points, and one of his special rules he's got is volley fire. If the Cadre Fireblade and every model in his unit remains stationary in the movement phase, their pulse rifles and pulse carbines each fire an additional shot in the shooting phase. So if they stay still and suddenly you think you can overwatch that Fire Warrior team and they have a Cadre Fireblade, this is the 10-man unit. That's going to be 30 pulse rifle, overwatch shots at you.
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're probably going to take down a lot of stuff, or at least significantly wound anything coming at you. And that's not even including other units who might join in as part of Tau supporting fire.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, if there's something within 6 or 12 inches of that unit,
yeah,
oh my god,
it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous amounts of shootiness for this one army.
Yeah,
fun bit of history for the pulse rifles. They were first developed during the Campaign of Cleansing, which took place from 606.M38 to 792.M38, this was a first encounter with the orcs, actually, and it was specifically dealt to combat them.
Oh, I didn't know that pulse was created to fight orcs.
Yeah, that's what it was initially created to, but it became... it wasn't specifically meant for orcs, more so as it was a useful weapon development to combat the orcs, as they were losing the war at first.
I hear you. One other way to magnify the reach of the pulse rifle is to equip an ethereal as one of your HQs. The ethereals, as you know, have this special rules, including the invocation of the elements, and one of their invocations is called Storm of Fire. Affected models fire an extra shot with pulse weapons when firing at a target within half of the weapon's maximum range. This does not affect pulse bomb, pulse driver cannons, and pulse blast cannons, but includes Krut rifles firing pulse rounds. Storm of Fire can only affect the unit once per turn, regardless how many ethereals invoke it. Again, another way. Ethereals are 50 points. Another way to just add another 10 shots to every round of Tau Fire Warrior shooting. Pretty amazing. I love the pulse rifles. I love the Fire Warrior as a basic troops unit because it's just so powerful.
The Fire Warrior?
Fire Warriors. Yeah. I love Fire Warriors. I try to maximize their unit strength to 10 because there's so many of these long range strength 5 shots coming at you.
Yeah, they're certainly one of those like infantry, with a Space Marine tac squad. It's like fine to do 5, and that's like, okay, yeah, just get them out of the way, or get like a scout squad and make that cheaper, and essentially have them as sort of almost like a tax.
Yeah.
But for the Tau Fire Warriors, you want more of that. You want more of that strength 5 goodness.
Yeah, and then it also makes sense to take, because since the models are cheap, it makes sense to take as many as you can. One, they're terrible in assault.
But that's not ultimately. If you're playing Tau well, you should hopefully never have to encounter assault.
Well, one way you eliminate assault is by eliminating the assaulter.
Precisely.
That's why if you put 10 Fire Warriors together and they've got like a Cadre Fireblade in there or an ethereal, that's going to be 30, shots coming at you just from that one unit alone.
Yep.
There's not going to be much of an assault left.
Such is the point.
Exactly. So that's why I like Fire Warriors. They're cheap and they can certainly reach out and touch you with their super hot pulse plasma. Yeah, I love pulse rifles. I think they're great weapons. Yeah.
Indeed.
All right.
Indeed.
There you go. Now you know a little something about pulse rifles. If you play Tau, you already know it. You already love it.
Yep, you already know.
If you haven't played Tau and you're going to play Tau, just beware of the pulse rifles. Always ask if the Fire Warriors are being supported by an ethereal or by a Cadre Fireblade, because you may find out the hard way that
You might.
and that there's a lot of shots coming your way.
Unpleasant surprises.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of unpleasant surprises, after the break, we'll get into our battle report. This time, we decided to play with our Lords of War. And we'll get into the fight between the Imperial Knight and the Stormlord when we come back. And we're back. Okay, so for this battle report, we decided to keep things small, compact, and intense. We decided to pit 2 Lords of War against each other. Now, the Lords of War that we currently own are an Imperial Knight, a Tau Storm Surge,
Yep.
Commander Dante,
Yep.
right, and a Stormlord.
Yes.
Okay, so we decided we were just going to pick one and have one detachment to go alongside it, however you define a detachment, and a maximum of 1,000 points. So that was the setup. The mission we were going to play was the Relic.
Yep.
So we had something to fight for. And that was it. So Alec, talk about why you chose the Lord of War you chose.
Okay, well, I chose the Stormlord mainly because I would have felt a little bit dirty choosing the Storm Surge and Tau. I would have felt like, well, that's because not like the destroyer missiles would have killed most things put in front of it, including Knight, or including like the Knight or Stormlord, or at least severely damage them. Because then it felt like it would be like, that'd be a bit easy. So I figured, okay, Stormlord would be a nice little fire base of horrifying anti-infantry pain and limited anti-armor capabilities. So I went with that.
So I was surprised that you took the Stormlord, honestly. I thought for sure we were going to go for the Storm Surge.
Yeah, I just didn't feel, for the nature of the game we were playing.
Yeah.
Since it was more of a fun thing.
Yeah.
I felt it was
It's turned into a competition as opposed to let's
roll
roll 3 dice and the game's over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. I chose Imperial Knight because I'm practicing for the LVO and I wanted to use a unit which I know is going to be part of the war convocation, so I want to get used to it. I've got a Knight Errant that has the thermal cannon and the Reaper Chainsword, and I just got a little Storm Spear rocket pod on top of it, so that's what I chose. And as my supporting unit, I brought in the Golden Host from the Angel's Blade Codex Supplement, and that is basically 1 HQ unit and 2 units of Sanguinary Guard. And for my HQ unit, just because I haven't played them ever in a battle, I chose the Sanguinor.
Oh.
When you play the Golden Host, you never choose a Sanguinor. Always choose Commander Dante. His rules are so much better.
Just go with Commander.
Why wouldn't you? But this was a fun game, and I haven't played the Sanguinor, and I actually do like the way the model looks. He's just not really good on the field, as it turned out.
To be honest, turns out you still didn't have the opportunity to play the Sanguinor.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't technically play the Sanguinor either. You'll find out what happened. But yeah, so that was my army. So talk about your supporting units for the Stormlord.
My supporting units were 2 vet squads and a Chimera, each equipped with 3 plasma guns, and a Lord Commissar as an HQ. And that was the entire army. That was the entire army, including the Stormlord.
Yeah. So 1,000 points each. I won table sides.
Yeah.
Right? And then I also won deployment, but I let you deploy first.
Indeed.
Because I wanted to see how you were deploying. And I knew that the Golden Host starts in reserve, so I was only going to have the Imperial Knight on the table.
Yeah, and my deployment wasn't very it was very simple. It was just geared to grab the relic.
Right. You basically put your 2 chimeras in the middle of the up to 12 inches and just right at the edge of the 12 inches as near to the relic as possible.
Yeah.
Right. And then you parked your Stormlord out in the corner.
Yeah.
But still within its range of its Vulcan mega bolter. So it had a good covering fire of the entire relic securing area.
Yes.
Oh, small note. We were playing this battle using GW's new Cities of Ruin battle mat.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have the box? Oh, no, we're not.
No, we do not have the box.
Anyway, you can look it up online. The map, the battle mat is actually gorgeous. I think it's awesome. It looks to have like an Imperial sort of landing area with a big double Aquillas surrounded by the volcanic rock or this red rock with Land Raider treads all over it. It looks awesome. It looks great, but it's different. It's a different construction than the fat mat that we normally play with, the ones from Table War. So just a note on that. It's first of all, it's knitted or it's sewn all the way around, so it kind of takes you out of the reality that this is a mat. I mean, that this is a battlefield.
That and the layout of the mat in terms of like the Imperial landing space followed by like open ground. Because it should be the Imperial landing site should be like elevated in terms of 3-dimensional space. But since it's a flat mat, it's not. So so it just sort of, I don't know why, it just bothers me.
Really? I like it. I thought it was great because it made us lay out our terrain in a different way, which I really like. The fact that it was consistent with the sort of geography and topography of the battle mat.
No, that was nice. It's just me thinking about the like 3D space of it. I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense though. Because we should be above each other. So
you're trying to think about the reality of something in 40K.
I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, if we're talking about, I think certain laws of physics are still in play.
Yeah, I guess there's gravity on most places.
We're not living in and we're not unless we're in a demon world now. We hopefully still have. We hopefully are escaped in we hopefully aren't living on an MC Escher type planet.
That would be a fun game.
That would be a fun game.
Roll for gravity.
Roll for gravity. Oh, nope.
No gravity. Your models just start floating.
Now do the stairs go around in a circle?
That's right. I'm going to go off the edge of the map and come over here. And come back in this way.
It's like Pac-Man.
That would be fun. All right, but the normal physics applied in this game. Right. Let's just lay some ground rules.
Let's lay some. None of the models voted. It's fine.
Right. Okay. So turn one. Let's talk about turn one. What happened in turn one?
My turn one was me rushing the front and shooting las cannons at your Imperial Knight and not getting one, and that was it.
Okay, so you rushed up your chimeras to the relic.
Yep. And
you did not move your Stormlord, and you just shot the las cannon sponsons at the Imperial Knight.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Imperial Knight. The las cannons pinged off its ion shield. It had a 4-up invuln save, and of course it made it. So it was unhurt, and the chimeras were now basically on top of the relic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my turn one. I move up the knight. And then he shoots the chimeras with his thermal cannon.
Yep.
Missed one.
Yep.
Hit the other one.
Yep.
It explodes.
Yep.
And outcome, it kills one trooper.
No, the D sword. The D sword.
Oh, right. So no, so I mobilized one chimera.
Yep.
And I put some hull. I think I put a hull point on it.
Yep.
Right. So that didn't happen yet. So that's what the shooting is. That's what the shooting. The heavy stubber didn't do anything, and then the rocket pod, I think, ended up putting a whole point and immobilizing the second chimera. So that's what happened.
Yep.
Then I assaulted the chimera.
Yep.
And it was the D sword that basically hit a D attack on the chimera and caused it to explode, and I killed one trooper in that explosion.
Yeah, that was it.
Right, so you had 9 vets all spilled out, and this giant Imperial Knight looming over them.
Yep.
With the relic in sight.
Yeah.
Okay, that was turn one. Turn two.
Okay, turn two. I now suspect I'm going to lose. Like, strongly suspect. Well, actually, really, I think I suspected when I heard the list. I was like, that's not good.
What was it? Was it hearing at the
Sanguinary
Guard?
I was. As soon as I heard Sanguinary Guard, I was like, ooh. Ooh. And then I was thinking about the knight, and how I didn't have much to combat that, and I was thinking, ooh, no.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was I? So I continued to I actually released the other group of vets in the other immobilized Chimera.
Yeah, they came out of the Chimera.
Yep, I shot las cannons at it again to no effect, to no avail. And I just sort of stood there with my people.
Okay, yeah, you went for the relic.
I went for the relic.
Yeah, so one unit of your vets went for the relic and held it, and the second unit just jumped out of the immobilized Chimera and just stood around.
Yeah.
Your last cannons missed again, and so the knight stayed where he was. My turn two happened, and the knight stayed where he was. The Sanguinor and the Sanguinary Guard deep struck, scattered 3 inches, so they were fine. They fired their Angelus bolt guns at each of the different vets. They killed 4 in the unit of vets holding the relic, and they killed, I think, like 3 or 4 in the second unit of vets. You made a remarkable group of saving throws, because 3 of your vets were in a crater.
Yep.
You needed 5 up, and there were 7 wounds to account for.
And I made like 5 of them.
5 up saves, one right after the other. It was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy to look at.
Right. So my plan after that was to basically we did assaults, and then the Imperial Knight assaulted the units, the vets that were holding the relic.
Yep.
And then with his Reaper chainsword, he just
murdered them all.
Just he did the attack, and they all turned into mush. Right.
And then the other squad ran.
The other squad had run after the shooting attacks.
And then I was like, oh, well, I concede.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you conceded after that. So it was the end of turn 2, and you conceded. And normally we like to play it out till turn 3, but given the fact that this is a relic-based mission...
A relic-based mission, I had nothing that could collect the relic at this point.
Well, the Commissar could have. He could have. Technically speaking. he could have drove up the Stormlord. Let me get closer. I want to hit the knight with my sword. And he could have jumped out.
Yeah.
He could have evaded all of the Imperial Night attacks.
Oh yeah.
And then walked the relic off the field. It's not impossible.
Okay.
All right. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
You looked at the math. We looked at the possibility of what was going to happen.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah. I had a knight with a Reaper chainsword, a D-attack sword, that could kill the Stormlord. And then I've got at least 1 Power Fist in the Sanguinary Guard, plus the Sanguinor. And that probably would have helped finish off the Stormlord.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was, after that, I was just sort of like, well,
right.
I know what's going to happen, unfortunately.
All right. So in the Battle of the Lords of War,
yeah,
between the Stormlord and the Imperial Knight takes round 1.
Round 1?
Well, we're going to play Lords of War again sometime.
Sometime.
Yeah. I don't know if the Imperial Knight's going to face the Stormlord again, but we'll see.
All right. Looking back, I might have wanted to take the Storm Surge just in order to have any sort of competitive edge.
Yeah. Well, okay. No, I mean, you're free to take it.
Yeah. I know I'm free to take it, but I felt it would have been too much. But now looking at that, I was like, ooh, well.
You should have.
Maybe. Because that probably would have had the best chance of killing a knight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Okay. It was a short but fun game. I also like playing 1,000-point games every now and then.
Yeah.
1850 games take forever, and the 1,000-point games are done. Even when you don't concede in turn 2.
Even when they're just back
because there's so fewer models on the table.
You don't have to deal with nearly as much.
No, you just move 3 or 4 things and then you're done, and that's actually kind of fun. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
In this game, the setting up and the taking down took about as long as the game.
Pretty much.
Which is usually not the case. So anyway. Okay, well that's it. It's a short episode, but a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back in a couple of weeks. By then, we should have seen the Traitor Legions book, the Wrath of Magnus book. We should have gotten our hands on all the beautiful Thousand Sons models, so we'll be definitely reporting on those. But until then, I'm George.
And I'm Malik.
And we play 40K. We'll see you guys soon.